How's it going, y'all? This is McFrostyBoy, and this video is going to cover the fundamentals of dropping in Apex Legends. I'm planning on following up with a video about location-specific drops on World's Edge to help you all over the course of this next ranked split, but I wanted to make sure to cover the basics that apply to all drops on all maps first. I also want to add the disclaimer that the overall strategy that is covered is designed to prioritize winning first, maximizing easy KP second, and kills and damage last. This prioritization is based on the rules and scoring in Ranked, which values overall placement the most highly, followed by kills and assists. Once again, I want to say thank you so much to everyone for your support and feedback. If you'd like to support me, please upvote the post on Reddit. It is the best way for me to reach new viewers, and your upvote is the biggest factor in each video's performance. Further instructions for how you can support the Frosty Friends community can be found below. Alright, with all of that out of the way, let's get started. We're going to start with an example of exactly what not to do when dropping in ranked games. The obvious issue here is that we drop into Skyhook with 4 other squads. As many of you know, a hot drop like this creates a situation where there is very little loot, which causes the randomness of the looting table to have a much greater impact on the overall outcome of the fights. It creates extremely unbalanced situations that almost no amount of skill can overcome if one player gets guns and armor and the other does not. This inconsistency is highly undesirable in ranked, since losing immediately off the drop comes with a high cost of RP. This was definitely an extreme case since it was pubs, but let's back it up a bit and see what might have happened if the other squads had behaved more reasonably. Our squad is still going to drop straight down, looking to hit these 3 buildings in this order. The first enemy squad sees that we're going straight down and wants to be aggressive, so they decide to hit this part of Skyhook to make sure that they have a shot at getting armor and weapons before attacking us while we're in the green building. Predicting a potential fight between our 2 squads, the second enemy squad decides to actually go into the caves over here. There's a lot of loot in this small area, as well as the option to come out on the high ground to assess the situation or jump tower to reach a better position. The third and fourth enemy squads choose to land on these ends of Skyhook, again trying to make sure that they get some armor and weapons before coming to the fight. Okay, so assuming all these squads land in these positions, let's make an educated guess about what will happen next. Since the first enemy squad intends to be aggressive, and because our loot pathing takes us in this direction, our 2 squads wind up fighting on the green building here. In the meantime, Squad 2 finishes looting the caves and uses the jump tower to take a high ground position relative to our 2 squads. We manage to beat the first enemy squad, taking shield swaps and quickly healing before Squad 2 pushes us, trying to exploit their third-party opportunity. While this has been happening, Squad 3 loots their corner of Skyhook and realizes that Squad 4 has decided to take the center loot in Skyhook. Not wanting to have to push their high ground, but still wanting to get a chance to third party, they rotate around, following the first enemy squad's line of approach. Through some miracle, our squad is able to beat the cave squad, and once more we have to depend on shield swaps to hold our own against Squad 3 as they push us. Squad 4 notices this happen and opts to also push, attempting the third party. At this point in the chain of events, one can see how it would be very challenging for any squad to pull this off. Luckily, our team has substituted our blood for G Fuel, so we all get to live the dream, walking out of Skyhook with max KP and all set to win the game. Right? Wrong. When the dust settles on all of this, let's think about what everyone's resources will look like. The shield swaps are depleted and all of the squads have been greedily chugging the limited amount of heals in the area. Moreover, fighting takes bullets, so it's totally possible that the squad now has an ammo problem as well. Finally, fighting takes time. From the drop to the start of circle close, you have about 3.5 minutes to make your rotation, and unfortunately this time you've got to make the long haul to the other corner of World's Edge. Along the way you could run into another squad, and it's totally reasonable to believe that other squads managed to get out in front of you. They're going to eat up all of the loot on the way in, and they haven't had to spend all their resources on fighting, so they're going to be nice and fresh when they prepare to line up a gatekeeping situation on you. The point I'm trying to make here with this example is that you do not want to be in a hot drop situation early. Not only is it extremely difficult to be consistent in a fight involving this many squads, this fighting also consumes the limited resources in the area, leaving the winning squad with less resources to help carry them through the rest of the game. Now that we know what not to do, let's take a look at the kinds of drops we are looking for. In this situation, our squad drops alone into the docks area, observing 2 enemy squads that are making a contested drop into the billboard area between Rift and docks. In this situation, our team is looking to quickly loot docks, just making sure we have enough to be effective before third partying the contested drop by the billboard. Honestly, our squad is a little slow working through this area, spending more time backtracking for attachments and better armor, taking about 1.5 minutes from landing to reaching the billboard to fight the enemy squads. In situations like these where your team is against the clock, you really just need to make sure you have weapons you can be effective with and at least some kind of armor. Anything else is nice to have and you should loot along the way. While we don't get to third party this fight, we do manage to arrive just as the winning squad starts to recover, meaning that they're still weakened and generally unprepared to fight. Our squad has a pretty mediocre performance, but the fact that the enemy squad was still weakened gave us a wide enough margin of error to work with, ultimately netting us some easy KP and most of the loot from the billboard area, which has been conveniently gathered up into enemy loot boxes.
That's caustic, yeah?
Yeah, the caustic's been hit 61 on his flesh, he's running. He's down.
Nice.
I missed all of my shots on the bag.
Oh, what?
Cracked her.
She's so low, like one shot low.
Blue shield swept her. The idea to learn here is that landing near enemy squads that you anticipate will fight before looting and rotating quickly is a viable strategy for ranked drops. This tactic can set up third-party situations that will net you easy KP and the loot needed to help carry your squad to endgame. Sometimes you don't get to make a nice clean landing, and an enemy squad decides to contest your landing location. In this situation, you should be trying to isolate a single enemy squad for an early fight. In this example, our team notices that we've got a squad contesting our landing at Elysium. Our squad is higher than the enemy squad, meaning that we're able to land further into Elysium than the enemy is. Make a point to cut the enemy off from loot by taking the valuable loot from the center area before taking loot from the back area as well as most of the building, securing the locations that have the greatest density of loot. This gives our squad a better chance to acquire weapons of choice as well as superior armor while making it harder for the enemy to do the same. You can see that the enemies wind up having to take this engagement with limited shields. The first two enemies either engaged without armor or so little armor that my teammates were able to break them very quickly. The last enemy was the only one that had blue armor. Additionally, I've got two viable weapons with the wingman and a volt, and Slayer managed to find some kind of automatic weapon. DK only had a P2020 during this fight, but overall, our team has a lot of powerful weapons at this point in the game. Ultimately, the difference in resources allows our squad to be much more aggressive in our damage exchanges, limiting the enemy capacity to fight back, making for a very short fight indeed.
Okay. Could be hurt. Could be down.
That's extremely unfortunate. The last one's over here.
I need their guns. I don't have it like anything.
The main takeaways from this example is that first, when an enemy squad contests your drop, you can land strategically to cut them off from loot, forcing them to fight with limited resources. Second, that contested drops aren't inherently bad if played correctly and can be a great way to set your team up with early KP so you don't have to worry about unnecessary mid-game fights as you figure out how you're going to rotate to endgame positioning. Our final example is going to cover the topic of option dropping. In a nutshell, option dropping means to select multiple drop locations and decide between them on the way down, based on the behavior of other squads so that you can either land alone and quickly rotate to a fight or isolate a squad at your initial landing location for early KP. Typically, this can be achieved by stretching and keeping height until you have a clear idea of where other squads intend to land. This time, we're dropping towards Elysium from about 700 meters away. This is well within the maximum distance for a drop to Elysium, which is about 900 meters due to its elevation. Even so, I initially piloted this drop like I am attempting to perform a maximum distance drop. Mechanically, you can do this by dropping straight down until your velocity reaches 140 and then aiming as high as you can until your velocity reaches 130. This will ensure that you retain as much height and speed as possible, allowing you to reach more distant locations more quickly than other squads. When you get closer, you can keep a higher velocity with each of your waves until you reach your intended destination. By doing so, I keep our options open. We'll pass over hydroponics, so if too many squads are trying to go to Elysium, we can land there. We can also land at the side area, which has a surprising amount of loot in the lower area before fighting in Elysium, hydroponics, or Oasis. We can land near the rift area, which isn't as viable, but has enough loot to hopefully equip a squad to third party. We can go to estates, which isn't an ideal starting location, since many squads tend to rotate through estates, but if nearby landing locations are busy, then the fighting that will break out will give us the time to quickly loot estates and rotate over to third party early. Finally, if this part of the map is completely unviable, it's possible early on in the drop to stretch to Oasis or land near the jump tower. I would personally only do this as an extreme measure if like half the lobby tried to cram itself into all of the other landing locations, since it means our squad will take longer to reach our initial looting location. The concept you can apply from this example is to consider all nearby locations and any locations you pass over, particularly if you stretch over them, as options when dropping so that you can create the ideal landing situation. Alright, that wraps up this video. Finding greater consistency while dropping in Apex Legends is a high impact skill that greatly affects your ability to earn and keep your RP. As I mentioned before, I'm using this video to lay the groundwork for a follow-up video helping break down specific landing locations on World's Edge to help you all in the upcoming ranked split. Make sure to let me know what locations you'd like to see covered in the comments below. I want to help you all improve at Apex Legends, and I need your help to get this content to the rest of the community. So like, comment, subscribe, hop in the stream, join our Discord, and make sure to smile. Thanks for watching, and I can't wait to see you in the next video. Oh my god.
We did it.
Yay!